Today on Cockeyed and Curious, I'm going to be playing through Aeon's End. I'm going to give a little bit of feedback on how I feel about the game. So far, I've been enjoying it. I've played several games. I've beat each of the nemesises that come in the base game. There are four of them. Each of them is pretty different. You have to employ different strategies to beat them. It's been a lot of fun exploring the ways that the market intersect with the different characters, which intersect with the given nemesis at play. You definitely have to change up your strategies quite a bit. One of the nemesises eats your supply deck, so you have to be careful of how much you buy from the supply deck, because if all the cards run out, then game over. The thing about the game is that you don't shuffle your deck most of the time. One of the nemesis is the Faceless Mask or something like that. It has you shuffling your deck at times, so that changes things up. And it wasn't as obnoxious as I thought it was going to be, because one of the things that drew me to this game is the fact there is a minimal amount of shuffling. There's also a monster that has his own separate cardboard piece that you put pieces upon, and the farther you are along the track, the worse things get. So you have to focus your attacks on the minions that get deployed, the nemesis itself, as well as these husks, they're called, that you want to make sure that not too many of them get in play because they cause certain types of havoc. And there's also the fact that you can make the nemesis a little more powerful. So for example, I'm going to be doing battle against Rageborn. As you can see over here, that after an unleash under the basic rules, you would remove one of the Fury tokens. Apparently I'm ready to go attend a certain type of conference, we'll call it. But usually you remove three. With the more advanced difficulty, you only remove one. And you'll see that the more that these Fury tokens accumulate, the more badass this guy's attacks become. And you can see he's quite vicious looking. One of the things that I enjoy about this game is just how ridiculous a lot of the art is. So yeah, so I have two different breach mages that I'm going to be dealing with today. Here's one of them. And here's the other one. Something that you'll note about this one is that I will actually only have 3 breaches rather than 4 breaches. So this is a little null symbol, but I do start with 1 open and then 2 slightly on their way towards success. And then I have everything set up here. As you'll see that I have a market with 3 gems. One, when I purchase it, the gem will go on top of the given deck, and when you play it, you get 2 purchase power. The diamond cluster, which on its own gives you 2 purchase power, but the second one that you play on a given turn gives you an extra 2. So successive ones later will again only be worth 2, but the second one you play will be in effect worth 4 rather than 2. The Searing Ruby, which gives you 2, but then you can gain 1 extra for purposes of buying spells. For the relics, I have a relic that lets you play a gem in hand twice and then you destroy it, so that's going to be pretty cool to be able to thin out my starting crystals that kind of suck and they just clog your hand. And then once it cleans out your crystals, it then itself can give you 2 purchase power. There's a blasting staff that let you cast a prep spell that you prep this turn. If you do, that spell costs an additional 2 damage. And then in terms of my spells, I have several in play. I have the Spectral Echo, which deals 2 damage, and then I can destroy a card. Ignite, which deals 2 damage, and then an ally can gain a charge. Lava Tendril, which does 3 damage when cast, but if it remains in the prepped area after the casting phase, you can deal 1 damage. And then I personally like this card a lot. It's kind of fun. I realize it's probably not the most effective card in the game, but Planner Insight, which you do 2 damage and then for every open breach, you do an extra damage. And usually you start with at least one open breach, so you're looking at a base of 3 damage. And then if you have a mage that has 4 breaches, you're looking at a possibility of doing 6 damage whenever you cast it. So it's pretty powerful, especially in the end game. It has saved my ass in a couple of the games that I've played thus far when it has been available. I have Aeon, who starts with this moon shard that gives you 1 purchase power, but then you can spend an additional purchase power for gems only. And then Phaedraxa, who starts with a card that gives you 1 purchase power, and then one of your allies can suffer damage to destroy a card in hand. So with this set of cards in the market alongside this Tourmaline shard that Phaedraxa has, I'm expecting to be able to thin my decks pretty nicely. I'm looking forward to that. And then each of the characters has an ability that can be employed once you fully charge yourself. And Jan actually only has 4 charge spots, so it's pretty easy to get this ability going. And what this says is activate during your main phase, cast any player's prep spell without discarding it. So basically, any of the players, if I have a spell up here in one of the breaches, I can just expend the 4 charges and cast the spell, and then the spell stays there. So if I combine that with the Planar Insight, for example, I can get 12 damage out of prepping that spell once, which is pretty cool given that the nemesis we're fighting, the Rageborn, starts with 70 health, so that's a good chunk of its health right there. Phaedraxa's charges, she needs to have 5 charges in place. And what happens there is that you have to activate it immediately after a turn order card is drawn. So for the Nemesis, this would be before you actually know what the Nemesis will be doing. And then it will prevent any damage that the player or Gravehold would suffer that turn. The Gravehold starts at 30 for the setting I'm using, so that can be pretty big, especially if a given attack would do a lot of damage. Okay, so I think I'm ready to begin the game. I have all the cards in place. It tells you the starting hand for each of the characters and the starting deck, which is here. I've set up and shuffled the Nemesis deck. Rageborn uses a special deck that says Strike card on the bottom, or Strike deck, so that's ready to go. And I have the turn order deck. Now I'll show that this is one of the things that is kind of silly about the game, is that whenever you have a handful of cards that you have to shuffle, it just feels goofy. Like I'll take 2 and throw them on the bottom, I'll take 2 and put them in the middle, I'll take 1 from the top, put it on the bottom, and so on. But I just find that this process is a little clumsy, and I can see eventually deciding to go to an app or some other mechanism to randomize the order. And just as a reminder, the way the turn order works is it's supposed to randomize the chaos that is battle. And so for playing with 2 of the breach mages, what that means is that for on a given round, each of these mages will go twice, and the Nemesis will go twice, and the order will be randomized via this little deck of cards. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down, and I'm going to flip the first card, and that's a 1. And I didn't bother to put the 1 and the 2 on these 2 boards, but I just know that on my left, that is the first player, and on the right is the second player. So whenever I see a 1, Gian will be playing. So Gian's up. I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 sparks and throw them in the open breaches. And then I have 1, 2, 3 buying power, and I can use an additional buying power to buy a gem, which is great because 4 is a cost for several of these items. And I think I'm going to go ahead and buy the Searing Ruby. So whenever you buy a card, it goes straight to your discard, and then the cards that you played go into discard as you prefer. So I usually, unless there's another factor going on, I'll put the better card down first so that it'll come up. But again, there may be reasons I would want to change that depending if I anticipated destroying cards or having other factors in play. Okay, and then at the end of your turn, you draw 5. You start with 10 cards, so that's just what's left. So I'll go ahead and flip those. Something I could have done, which would have perhaps been useful is that I know that the sparks are on the bottom based on the starting deck information on the card. So I could have bought this amber gem that when I buy it, rather than go to the discard pile, it goes on top of the deck, in which case one of the sparks would have remained on the bottom, and then I would have had an additional 2 on top, and I would have had buying power of 5. 5 isn't really that sexy of a number for the given deck of cards that I have, or I mean set of cards that I have. So I wasn't as intrigued by that option, though I could have bought a 3 and then added a charge. So there's always a lot of options, which is what I like about the game. It's very simple, it's not that complicated, there's not that much going on. There's not that much going on generally speaking, but when you add up all the different details and the way that things can interplay, you actually have a robust world of strategy that you can unearth and explore. And so that's one of the things I like about the game. It's also quick. I can usually get a game in about 30 minutes or so, which is big. It's fun to be able to set things up, which actually takes a decent amount of time because you have to randomize everything and get the cards and all that. But once it's set up and ready to go, 30 minutes. So I usually set up a game, let it kind of just percolate out here, and then when I have a little bit of free time, I'll sit down and play the game. And it works well for that. Okay, so did the first turn. I'm going to flip this over to Phaedraxa. Okay, good. So no Nemesis yet. Go ahead and put the spark into the open breach. I'm going to go ahead and play this gain 1. An ally may suffer 1 damage. So I haven't actually put the health out yet. Each of these characters starts with 4. So I'm going to go ahead and only give GN 9. And I'll go ahead and put 10 on Phaedraxa. I'm going to take the damage, so that's why I'm at 9. I don't think I want all these sparks, so I'm going to go ahead and trash this. I'm just going to put this over to the side to indicate that it's out of the game. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4 buying power, the amber, put that on top, and then I'm going to put the shard, so it'll be the first card when I flip my discard deck, do that. Now that I have 6 cards, I'll leave 1 behind and flip the rest. I'm going to flip this. Okay, we got a Nemesis card. So what that means is that I seem to have an intruder. Hopefully this isn't the Rageborn in the flesh ready to take me out. Nah, it just looks like Kelly. Okay, I think things are good. Okay, so what that means is we flip a card. We see what it says. This is a minion. So minions come out and they don't actually act the first turn that they come out. They just get added to the board. And then go ahead and put out 5 health. I'm going to do it in the smallest because I'm going to be attacking this creature quickly. And what this one does is the Gravehold, so that's my base. It suffers damage equal to the number of Fury tokens Rageborn has. Apparently I need to see a speech coach on how to say Fury. There's no costumes in the closet, I promise. And if there were, that'd just be a beautiful thing that I would share with other people in costumes, I suppose. So the Gravehold suffers damage equal to the number of Fury tokens the Rageborn has. Oh, I forgot. The Rageborn starts with 1 token, so I should have put that on there. Okay. Okay, and then we flip. Number 1 goes again. I'm going to go ahead and cast the 2 sparks to take off 2 life from the minion. Whenever you cast a spell, it instantly goes into your discard pile, so I did 1 and then the other. And then I go to my main phase. I'm going to go ahead and put a spark into the breach. And then I have 3 buying power that I can use. I'm going to go ahead and get one of these unstable prisms that I'm pretty excited about. Play that. This character is going to thin her deck very quickly between cards like the unstable prism, which allow me again to trash cards, and the power of the Tourmaline Shard that Phaedraxa has. And then the cards I played go in my discard. Now I need to draw, so all I do is just flip the card deck, grab the top 5, and boom, ready to go. Okay, let's see. Okay, Nemesis is out. So the Gravehold suffers damage equal to the number of Fury tokens the Rageborn has. So that's only one. So I'm going to go from 30 to 29. And then we're going to draw a card. And this says Rageborn Strikes. So I'm going to go ahead and put the discard here. Whenever the Rageborn strikes, that just means, and it tells me here, I resolve the following in order. I draw a card from the strike deck and resolve it. The player with the lowest life suffers 2 damage. So this person has the lowest life, so I'm going to get beat up here. I need to get a way to get life back. That's not going to be possible in this set of cards, I now realize, so I'm going to have to be a little wary about using Fidrax's power, which is good, or not power, but the card, which is good. I guess I got the Unstable Prism to help with the deck thinning. So I took the 2 damage, and it says shuffle that card back into the strike deck, so it's another instance of shuffling a small deck of cards, as absurd as it often feels to do. At least it's quick. And then the Rageborn loses 3 Fury tokens, but because I'm using the increased difficulty rules, I only lose 1 instead of 3. Take 1, take it off the board. Okay, and now the strike deck has been randomized. And then we have the, no, I already drew a card, okay? And then 2. Okay, so Fidrax is going to go ahead and spark, and we'll hit the Provoker again. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 buying power. I'm going to do some deck thinning as well. I'm going to grab the Spectral Echo and the Unstable Prism. And I'm going to do it in the opposite order, in terms of the buy order. And then I'm going to put the cards into the discard pile, get 1 card, and then 1, 2. Okay, now that the turn order deck has been depleted, shuffle it. The thing is, I can memorize where all the cards are, so I know, for example, that this is a Nemesis card. Apparently I'm not as good as I thought I was at this. Okay, so put these down. Hey, look, it was a Nemesis card. So that was the first round of the game. I proceeded to play multiple rounds, finishing and defeating the Rageborn. I'm going to go ahead and plan on recording this again to try to do it more succinctly, quickly, and provide more of a review than a playthrough of the first round. Still learning how to edit video and put together a narrative, and I think in putting this together I have some ideas on how to make things a little smoother and more efficient next time. Thank you for watching.